Turning our attention now onto Pakistan, where 26 million children are out of school, the highest in the world. Poverty is the biggest factor, coupled with poor infrastructure and underqualified teachers. The widening gap of access to education between the rich and the poor is now labeled education apartheid.
11-year-old Anisa Haroon spends her mornings in the fields, helping her parents with work on the ground to add to the family income. She's one of dozens of children in village Abdullah Got on the outskirts of Karachi, for whom this is what childhood has come to be about. Yet consider Anisa to be lucky, because she now spends the second half of her day in a classroom. Noticeable, however, is the fact that even in her young mind, there's a definite line between rich and poor.
They, children in the city, spend all their time studying, while we, on the other hand, also have to work. They have access to facilities that we don't, and unlike us, they don't have to work as laborers or in the fields.
Anisa's entry into school at the age of 7 was a negotiation between her parents and members of a non-profit organization working in the region. For the social workers, convincing parents of the benefits of education over working in the fields was an uphill task.
Some parents thought their children should work in the fields instead of studying, and earning money was given to be more valuable. However, the first thing we did was go door to door to make them understand that education is important and of value.
Numbers on the education front in Pakistan are worrying. A recently published report titled The Missing Third in Pakistan by the Pak Alliance for Maths and Science says nearly 36% of children between 5 and 16, that's about 25.3 million, are out of school. For children between 5 and 9 years, that number goes up to 51%. The report points out that a majority of out-of-school kids belong to economically weaker sections in rural areas. That's where the education apartheid aspect comes in. Government-funded public schools do offer free education, but struggle with limited resources and overcrowding. Public schools that charge up to several $100s remain out of reach. Then infrastructure for basic education doesn't exist where it's needed, and government funding is weak.
हमारी प्रायोरिटी ही नहीं है बेसिकली एजुकेशन, बिकॉज चलें जब बच्चा छोटा है तो ऐसा लगता है कि माँ बाप थोड़ा सा प्रिविलेज देने.
Due to the economic crisis, education is no longer our Pakistan families' top priority, so children are forced to become the primary breadwinners, whether they want to or not. As a result, leaving school becomes the first option.
हायर सेकेंडरी पता नहीं कर पाता है नहीं कर पाता वो बच्चा, मतलब एक फोर्स है उसके ऊपर कि उसको अपनी फैमिली के लिए अर्न करना है.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif had declared an education emergency last year, assuring an increase in the education budget from 1.7% of GDP to 4% over the next 5 years. For the foreseeable future, though, for thousands of children working in the fields for whom making ends meet is priority, education making inroads remains a far cry.